The narrative building happened before who won, who lost, as to 6-0 and this and that, how many aircraft lost. That narrative was built somewhere else. लड़ाई यहाँ पे चल रही है इंडिया पाकिस्तान बॉर्डर पे, narrative building कहीं और हो रही है. Because if India is declared a winner, that means Indian weapon systems, Russian weapon systems, French weapon systems are better than Chinese, Turkish or Western bloc weapon systems. The third world countries who are the net buyers of the defense equipment, all the orders will come to this bloc. वो जो weapons lobby है, they are setting a narrative as to who lost how many aircrafts.
Now it is almost confirmed that our aircrafts have also fallen. Do you think there is also a lesson to learn from it?
When we go to war, the losses will happen. You know, we are not going to a 5-star for a dinner. Information warfare is the another one, where we don't only have to win on the borders, we have to win.
But do you think this time it was a little weak, the information warfare?
See, information warfare, like Pakistan has a full organization called DGISPR, whereas in India we do it in bits and pieces. There is a need, because today you may win at the border, but in social media or on media, someone might paint you as loser.
We won on field, but I think our communication was weak this time. Is it?
You know, we won on field, and only thing is that victory needed to be told to everyone on the international arena and platform. Because opponent may not have won on field, but here he is equal. He is also trying to throw in disinformation and misinformation. We need to win here also. On 10th of May, when we struck 11 air bases with impunity, with perfection and with precision, not a single missile of ours could be intercepted by Pakistani air defense. That is victory. When not a single aircraft of Pakistan Air Force could fly out and intercept our projectiles, that is victory. When Pakistan at 3:35 on 10th of May, their DGMO called up our DGMO and requests, literally begging for a ceasefire, now that is victory. When they go running to America or to Saudi Arabia asking for mediation and ceasefire, now that is victory. When we say that we don't want a third-party mediation as a policy, it's a bilateral issue, we will resolve it bilaterally. So historically, we have been doing that. That is victory.
General Dhillon, thank you for talking to ANI. Your book on Operation Sindoor has come now. Give us a brief about Operation Sindoor, which is mentioned in the book and which is not in public domain and area of interest for public here, please.
Thank you, Mr. Naveen, and good day to you and your viewers. Operation Sindoor, the untold story of India's deep strikes inside Pakistan, is the book which has just come out. And book covers the aspects which were not highlighted by the media during this 4-day war. It starts from partition, build-up of the problem, going up to Pulwama, and then from Pulwama to Pahalgam, 2 milestones. And why Pulwama we could kill the terrorists within 100 hours, and why Pahalgam, Operation Mahadev, happened after so long. All those aspects have been covered. And then basically the book picks up from 22nd April 2025 when Pahalgam happened.
Can you give us some sense of that?
Yeah. So after that, when nation wanted to retaliate, nation wanted to take action as a response to Pahalgam. So a lot of synergy happened in those 15 days till on 6th of May night we went in. A lot of intelligence gathering happened, a lot of intelligence corroboration happened. Selection of targets, how the targets, these 9 terror targets, how they were selected. There are a lot of details about that. What was the layout, the structure of the targets. And then once the targets are selected, the best weapon system, like if you've seen in that Masjid Subhanallah in Bahawalpur, the weapon used perforated the roof, perforated the floor, and then went into the basement and exploded. So that type of accurate intelligence gathering, then the weapon matching to the target, that happened. And there afterwards, the air defense. See, two nuclear powers came to war for the first time in the history. A 4-day war took place between 2 nuclear powers. Not a single soldier or a single tank or a single gun crossed the international boundary or a line of control. So this is a new phase of the warfare which we are facing, which we are seeing, and so all these aspects have been covered. And how the integration of air defense, I laid a lot of stress on this because people saw on the TV screens, courtesy the media, how the drones and the missiles were intercepted. But what they did not know, the untold story is, how the starting from Zu-23 gun or a Shilka or a L-70 going right up to SAM and MR-SAM and then going to S-400. How from the lowest air defense weapon to the highest air defense weapon, how they all were integrated. Someone has to detect a enemy target, someone has to designate it, tell the weapon system to engage it and destroy it. So this whole network, how it got integrated, some vintage weapons, some old weapon systems, some newest technology. So that is what has been explained in detail. In addition, the line of control. A lot of media coverage happened on the international boundary, whatever happened. Line of control, media somehow did not cover very well, but very hard fought skirmishes or intense battles happened on the line of control.
Okay, they were little underreported, right?
They were little underreported because of the far-flung areas, because of the remoteness of the area, because of the coverage and the number of people who wanted to cover it, away from the roadheads. So that complete chapter on the line of control is absolutely the untold story. And then comes who won, who lost, who called the ceasefire.
So who won actually?
So read the book.
Give us some sense of your
who
book.
won, who lost is, I'll give you an analogy of like a lot of people, the narrative building happened before who won, who lost, as to 6-0 and this and that, how many aircrafts lost. That narrative was built somewhere else. Now we are a cricket-loving country. When we go to war, the losses will happen. We are not going to a 5-star for a dinner. We will have the losses, both sides will have the losses. Second World War, both sides had the losses, but who won? In a 50-over match, team playing first scores 250 runs, both openers score a century and no wicket lost. Team playing second scores 251 runs with loss of 9 wickets. No one scores even 50. Who won? It's the end game, it's the finish line which decides who won. On 10th of May, when we struck 11 air bases with impunity, with perfection and with precision, not a single missile of ours could be intercepted by Pakistani air defense. That is victory. When not a single aircraft of Pakistan Air Force could fly out and intercept our projectiles, that is victory. When Pakistan at 3:35 on 10th of May, their DGMO calls up our DGMO and requests, literally begging for a ceasefire, now that is victory. When they go running to America or to Saudi Arabia asking for mediation and ceasefire, now that is victory. When we say that we don't want a third-party mediation as a policy, it's a bilateral issue, we will resolve it bilaterally. So historically, we have been doing that. That is victory. Now, there are various parameters which have been defined. Then comes the battle of narratives. लड़ाई यहाँ पे चल रही है, इंडिया पाकिस्तान बॉर्डर पे, narrative building कहीं और हो रही है. Because if India is declared a winner, that means Indian weapon systems, Russian weapon systems, French weapon systems are better than Chinese, Turkish or Western bloc weapon system. The third world countries who are the net buyers of the defense equipment, all the orders will come to this bloc. So यहाँ
this
पे
is also another game which was played.
Yeah, यहाँ पे कौन जीता कौन हारा जरूरी नहीं है, लेकिन वो जो weapons lobby है, they are setting a narrative as to who lost how many aircrafts. So that is where the game was being played somewhere else. So narratives have been shattered. I've devoted one full chapter on the battle of narratives. So this is
book even more interesting.
Yeah, this is just one example I'm giving. And then calling of the book is second point is book is as updated as up to 18th of August.
Okay.
The list which Pakistan by mistake put on the media of their people who were given posthumous awards on 14th of August, their Independence Day, 138 names, that is part of the book. And suddenly they removed it when now if 138 soldiers and officers have been given a gallantry award as Shaheed for this Operation Sindoor, that you can imagine if 138 are being honored with an award, how many would have been the actual casualties? This decides who won. So there are enough in the book for a reader to understand who won, who lost.
Dhillon sir, what has changed? You have served in army for so long. What has changed? You saw the integration. So this CDS system has worked for the first time, which is, I think, in action, if we can say that. And also, sir, the modernization. Has it made an impact this time? Plus, as there is now, it is almost confirmed that our aircrafts have also fallen. Do you think there's also a lesson to learn from here?
Thank you for asking this question. First of all, see, nothing remains stagnant or constant in this world. Change is the only constant. So is the warfare. So is the technology. And today's warfare has so much enmeshment of the technology that small technological advancement has its impact on the war fighting. And India being a democracy, we being a country with 140 crore people, our priorities are also there. So we cannot afford to put everything in the defense. At the same time, the only country in the world with 2 nuclear neighbors and both of them are not our friends. We need to make sure our borders are secure. So there's a very fine balance. And when the technological advancement happens, the weapon systems which have to be procured or inducted, they are very expensive. So point here is, if you have such expensive weapon systems, then your operational art or art of war demands that nothing should be left out of battle. When nothing should be left out of battle, that means everything should be so synchronized, so integrated, that every weapon system, every soldier, everything counts towards the outcome.
But was there some lacuna this time?
Yeah, that's what I'm coming to. So if that has to count, then somebody can't say कि ये मेरा चीज है, इसको मैं आपको नहीं दूंगा. So that is where the jointness, the synergy, the Chief of Defence Staff, the theaterization, the coordination, you call it by any name. It is a nation's war. It is not an army, navy or air force war. It's a nation's war. Militaries are fighting on the border. The diplomat is fighting in the international arena. The economist is fighting in building up the economy. Industrialist is fighting by bringing up more products. The teacher is fighting in the classroom by making the students aware of the war and the future of wars and how nation and a future citizen, they should see at war. So it's a whole of nation approach, and that is how the book has talked about it. And synergy and coordination point which you asked is the most important and the only non-negotiable aspect of warfare today. And information warfare is the another one, where we don't only have to win on the borders.
But do you think this time it was a little weak, the information warfare?
See, information warfare, like Pakistan has a full organization called DGISPR. Whereas in India, we do it in bits and pieces. There is a need, because today you may win at the border, but in social media or on media, someone might paint you as loser. So we need to have an integrated, centralized setup where information is handled and information is disseminated. And when I say centralized, I don't want, just because he's a government servant, he's posted there. We need experts. He may be an 80-year-old veteran. If he knows how to handle information, how to handle narratives, how to build narratives, and he may be an 18-year-old young boy who knows how to handle social media, how to engage. So we need the subject matter experts. They should be at a central place. They should be taking information from all departments and disseminating to all departments.
This time also, General Dhillon sir, this time there was also some kind of a misinformation which was spread through our media, and through to which a lot of flack media has faced. So how do you look at such scenarios, sir?
I covered this. In the book, there is a subchapter on information, misinformation and disinformation. And all three are different. Misinformation is by mistake you give out some information which is not correct. Disinformation is by design. You say something which you know is not correct, but you want to be first.
So how to come out of it? How to resolve this?
The only thing is transparency. Like at the end of the day, truth will prevail. You got to be transparent, and then you have to have structures in place to show that transparency to the world. That is where I said we need to have an information warfare center or a organization which centrally gives out the narratives as a nation, as forces, as diplomats, as politics, or whatever we do. But they need to be manned by subject matter experts.
What if I can make out what you are saying is that we won on field, but I think our communication was weak this time. Is it?
We won on field, and only thing is that victory needed to be told to everyone on the international arena and platform. Because opponent may not have won on field, but here he is equal. He is also trying to throw in disinformation and misinformation. We need to win here also.
And how do you look at General Munir's elevation after this?
See, the only army chief who went into a bunker during the operations and the only army chief who elevated himself to a field marshal just to avoid the public scrutiny. And the only army chief during SCO meeting who was accompanying the head of the state. So much for the democracy, so much, only army chief to be called by American president for lunch. So much for the democracy and so much for, being a democratic country and supporting the democratic structures. So Pakistan Army is the only army in the world which has never won a war. Only army in the world after Second World War which had 93,000 surrenders. Standing army under the Navy Air Force with weapons and equipment. I am not talking of capture. Capture is a soldierly thing. You are fighting it out, you get captured, it's part of the game. But surrendering is non-soldierly.
Sir, as your book suggests, Operation Sindoor penetrated deep inside, did deep strikes. Do you think this will be a big deterrence now for Pakistan for years to come? Or will they again misadventure, or they will carry on with their old tactics?
Operation Sindoor by itself is a sort of an indicator. But what happened after Operation Sindoor, where our Prime Minister ji, the way he gave out the counter-terror strategy, that not only the terrorist, the organization like Pakistan Army or ISI supporting the terrorists, or Pakistan state sponsoring the terror, for us all three are terrorists. And we'll deal with them as we deal with any.
And Operation Sindoor continues.
And Operation Sindoor continues. A lot of people have this doubt, why Operation Sindoor is continuing, what is the implication? Implication is, for a democratic country like ours, which is a responsible nuclear state, when we have to go for a war, when nation has to go for a war, there are certain clarifications, there are certain clearances, like Cabinet Committee on Security. We are a democracy. So if we say end to Operation Sindoor, then all those formalities will have to be gone through again.
So country remains war ready always.
Country remains war ready. If Pakistan does anything, the defense forces, the diplomatic efforts, or the economic efforts, or the political efforts can be launched immediately.
Sir, do you see a change in India's response? Because we have seen attacks in the past and we have not responded appropriately, what I can say. In fact, in the hindsight, we can easily say that. Do you think this response was required and the response was apt?
Response was required every time, and response was apt this time. But more importantly, this time, we are the fourth largest economy, going to be third. We are 1/6 of the world's population, by extension 1/6 of the world's market. We are the biggest democracy. We are a military might. Now, when we do something now, people want question. If we are not an economy as we are booming now, if we are not a market as we are booming now, if we are not a democracy, people would have questioned us. People didn't question America when he came into Abbottabad and picked up Osama bin Laden.
Yes.
Because America was America. Now, when we go and hit 9 terror targets as a response to Pahalgam, no one questions us, because now we are a new India. So it is important to tell your point, but the other person understands your point better if we have a gun in hand.
So, General Dhillon, will this remain a big doctrine for India now in future?
See, all strategies, all doctrines keep evolving.
Okay.
What we have taken on ourselves as of now as a counter-terror strategy, which is part of the last chapter and the way forward. With the newer things coming in, with newer ways coming in, the way Pakistan behaves or otherwise, we need to keep evolving. But as of today, the counter-terror strategy which we have is apt and absolutely to the point.
General Dhillon, you have served in the forces so long. Will it be a right thing to say that India has now graduated after this Operation Sindoor? We have not done anything like this in the past. This is the first ever which India has done.
I will say India has arrived. We are here and we are here to stay. We have to be counted. We have to be taken note of. We are not India of yesterday. We are India of tomorrow. And anyone who wants to do business with us, like I said, we are 1/6 of the world. We are the rising economy. They have to take note of us. They have to make sure that they note our presence. And they align with us. They realign with us. So there are no permanent friends or enemies, there are permanent interests. And interest is always with the person who is strong, who is economically strong, who is politically strong, who is militarily strong, and who is democratically strong. And we are all there.
Sir, taking a soldier to a diplomatic path now, little bit, what we saw recently, today we saw a tweet from Trump softening his position. We saw Prime Minister Modi with Xi Jinping and with Russia. But can we trust China, sir, ever? Because what we saw in Operation Sindoor also, during Operation Sindoor also, a lot of Chinese weapons were used. I have learned from a lot of Western sources also that even the intelligence was shared. So, can we trust China, and will there be any change in these dynamics?
See, first of all, in today's world affairs, diplomacy, economy, trade, military, policies, democracies, non-democracy, they all have got so intertwined, personalities, that if you don't like someone as individual, you as a state, you stop having the relationships with them as good as. Otherwise, the foreign policy was always a long-term approach. Now, talking about China, see, after the trade war, if I can use that word, after this tariff war and all that, there are new realignments. SCO, which just happened, showed us that. You talked about Russia, China and India. SCO is 43% of world's population. SCO has got 4 nuclear powers, that includes Pakistan. SCO has got 3 major poles of the world, Russia, China, India. And SCO is 25% of world's global economy. So these realignments we can't ignore, and these realignments were hastened by the tariff things. And the point which you asked, can we trust China? These realignments, are they fundamentally strong? Are they long-term? This is what is need to be seen. Because China, Pakistan are allies. It has been proved, it was told by the Deputy Chief of Army Staff that China was supplying real-time intelligence to Pakistan. Now, Pakistan having bought Chinese weapon is one thing. But during the war, assisting a particular side is as good as, aligning with that side. Right. And now to realign, again I will use the word, the realignments are fundamentally strong. Are they there? And today we are in a situation in the world affairs where the policy uncertainty is the name of the game. Right. The policy uncertainties
yesterday's friends can be today's enemies, and today's enemies can be tomorrow's.
Yesterday's Trump is much better Trump today. Literally, what was he on 4th of September, and when we are talking on 6th of September, there is a sea change. A sea change.
And it may change again.
It may change again. So who can, other day I was on some discussion.
So it's an erratic world now.
Yes, I said, who can tell me today that after 10 days, will the tariff come down to 10% or they'll go up to 75%?
Right.
If this is the uncertainty in the policy, then I'm afraid this is not the foreign policy which, as a long-term players or long-term allies or long-term friends, we should be looking at. And talking about India per se, in the Indian Ocean, India-Pacific subcontinent or South Asian subcontinent, with China and Russia in the near vicinity, India cannot be ignored. And the best thing is, whatever Mr. Trump might do, the strategic community in USA, they understand the importance, the relevance and primacy of India in this region.
I think that is the reason for the climb down, maybe.
Absolutely, because, जिसको हम कहते हैं ना impatient होके या personal outburst, they are different than long-term strategic view. For the strategic community in USA is very clear who is the best natural ally in this region.
And who can counter with China? Because ultimately it will remain China versus USA.
Yes, it will remain. And then, emergence of new poles. We have seen Soviet Union, USA as bipolar world. Then we saw unipolar world after collapse of Soviet Union. Then we saw Russia emerging again, China emerging on the quiet, and India emerging. Right. So now it's a multipolar world. Right. We need to see the realignments, and the policy uncertainties must change to policy certainties. So that is where the...
Sir, you have very less time. My last question. हिंदी में पूछना चाहूँगा, तो अब आपको क्या लगता है कि क्या भारत का अराइवल हो गया अपने आप का, क्योंकि एक डिफरेंट स्टाइल रहा है बात करने का. इनफैक्ट कई लोग आपको कंपेयर करते हैं सनी देओल से. आप बुलेट वगैरह पे आपके ट्वीट्स वगैरह देखे हैं, तो थोड़ा सा अगर आप अपनी हिंदी में और आर्मी वाले पार्लांस में बात बताएंगे, क्या है ऑपरेशन सिंदूर, क्या इसका इम्प्लीकेशन है? सिर्फ एक ही सवाल है ये. हाँ, और क्या भारत का अराइवल हो गया जैसा आपने हमारे इंटरव्यू में कहा?
बिल्कुल, देखिए, भारत एज अ नेशन, एज अ फोर्स टू रेकन विद, जो एक देश की हमारे सशक्तिकरण, जो हमारी शक्ति है, चाहे वो मिलिट्री शक्ति है, चाहे वो पॉलिटिकल विल है, चाहे वो इकोनॉमिक शक्ति है, चाहे वो डिप्लोमेटिक शक्ति है, ये सब का जो मिश्रण है, वी हैव अराइव्ड, हम पहुंच चुके हैं अपने मुकाम पे. और उस मुकाम पे दुनिया हमारे को सिर्फ ऐसे ऊपर आंख उठाकर देखेगी, नीचे नहीं देखेगी. वो दिन गए. और दूसरी रही बात, भारत एक शांति प्रिय देश है, 5000 साल पुरानी सभ्यता के वंशज हैं हम, मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ। और 5000 साल पुरानी सभ्यता में हमने पहले किसी के ऊपर हमला नहीं किया। लेकिन शांति प्रिय होने का मतलब ये नहीं है कि कमज़ोर होना। हम बातचीत से बात हल करना चाहते हैं, लेकिन बातचीत से बात अच्छे से हल हो जाती है अगर आपके हाथ में लठ हो तो वो जो लठ है वो बहुत ज़रूरी है।
तो लठ है भारत के हाथ में?
बिल्कुल, मिलिट्री माइट ने प्रूव किया ऑपरेशन सिंदूर में कि लठ है ही नहीं, तगड़ा लठ है। एंड आगे वो लठ और भी मजबूत होने वाला है। सो आपने हिंदी में सवाल पूछा तो उसका हिंदी में जवाब ये था।
थैंक यू सो मच सर।
थैंक यू मिस्टर, थैंक यू वेरी मच, थैंक यू एंड जय हिंद।